Hello chipsters, it's me Gav and welcome to another one of my videos. Today we've got another update on the Royal Fleet Auxiliary Black Rover, the light fleet tanker, which went to the breakage yard in 2017 after an extremely long career of, I think, probably around nearly close to 40 years. With her sister ship Gold Rover, they were the last two of the class. All scratch built, as you can see, hence the nothing, slight scale creep in places, a lot of glue everywhere, and nothing's particularly straight. But I'm thoroughly enjoying this. As I say, I probably just have a few hours, once a week, either a couple of sessions or just one longer session. It is really enjoyable. Obviously I've had to simplify things. It's supposed to be 1 in 700 scale. I mean, it's definitely more like 1 in 650 scale now. It could be 1 in 200 scale by the time I've finished. So let's get a bit closer. There are a couple of photos at the end, but there's nothing that obviously you can't really see now. So changes since the last time you saw her. I've cut into, I don't know if this is classed as a well deck or not, but there's all pumping type of paraphernalia for the fuel. There's like a small pump, which is often, I'm calling it the pump, which is often covered in tarpaulin. There will be some posts. Originally I drilled, if you remember, 2 holes a bit like this. These are for the main derrick, so but 2 holes have smaller stanchions on them with some lighting rigs, and then I think some securing hawsers for the main derricks, because this is a big frame that comes up over here, which will be extremely complicated to replicate. And this is another post which I believe, again, apart from supporting a lighting rig this is extremely busy. It's not going to look anything like that when it's finished. But yeah, you've got a big, it's not U-shape as such, is it? But it's like that with a big frame on it, and then obviously you've got all your fueling hoses that are taken out to the ships, because she can supply at least 2 ships alongside. And as I've said before, this small little stanchion here, I'm not sure if that's to run a fuel line backwards and then fuel up a ship running along behind. I'm not 100% sure. So I didn't realise, as I say, I've got no plans. I'm literally building this off photographs of different types, and to get overhead shots are extremely difficult. So it really is just, some of it's guesswork, but eventually these are like ramps that come up here, and there's like a workstation, I suppose you'd call it, almost, and there's obviously, this is all safety railings go around it. I haven't done anything more to this yet. There is more to go. That was an original. I just put a block under there originally, just because I could see some form of block with pipes all around the side of it. And then again, it wasn't till afterwards I suddenly realised that actually there were holes in the deck. Again, just on the angles that you're seeing, sometimes I'm getting maybe from a helicopter, flying, at particular angles, or mostly taken from ships from side to side, or if she's in port. And it's not, I'm also looking at her sister ships as well, but I'm trying to get more up-to-date photos, because she was built in the early 70s along with her sisters. And one of the main things you can tell is they've got the old whale boats for I suppose lifeboats in a way, but they obviously all have those inflatable ones as well. But in the later ones, they got given these big orange self-propelled ones. Probably not as big as this, but we'll go into that in a minute. So you can normally tell her, and obviously the whale boats were forward here rather than back, I believe, and these 2 orange boats were obviously further back. So I've, as I say, cut that out, but there is more work to go on this side and probably around here. As I say, I have to simplify things just because of the scale and what I'm trying to work with. All this front lower piece was done a while back, as you probably remember, but I've installed cranes. They're at different heights. Now this one doesn't, it seems that it's more triangle, and let's get more pointy stick, that's better, but it doesn't seem to go further down here, unlike this one, which is actually on a small platform slightly lower than this deck, and does have like another piece, whether it's the same piece of the crane I'm not sure. Again, they're simplified, although not that simplified from what I can see. That just seemed to be a straight piece of metal with a small wheel to run the cable over and then down. As you can see, I've made the rib inflatables. They're not brilliant. I used a piece of sprue and I cut that down and then sanded it into a slight boat hole shape, obviously, and the rest is just lead wire, solder wire, as you can see. But it gives a representation of the rib inflatables. Now, I would say that now looking at it, everything's in hindsight, but this here needs to be at least another 5mm higher, but everything was creeping up that much at the time I built the superstructure. I was thinking, this is getting ridiculous, you know. So yeah, probably about 5mm deeper on this, really, because there are some windows in here which I'm going to paint in rather than, I can't cut through it, just be a mess. So I'm going to paint those just in black paint. There's a small ship's crest here as well, which I do need to stick on a piece of, cut some round bar off. Round bar, is that right? I'm not sure, but yeah, oh, and I will be putting, these are held in ready to hoist, so there's like, goes into a slings, 4 slings, and then onto the main cable. So they will be done, but obviously that's going to be delicate, so I won't do that till towards the end. And I've just noticed, oh no, I have done, yeah. So I've put some little blocks for the outboard engines. Anything else I've done? I've used a bead for, cost me £2 at the range, that did. I had to buy some kids' earring set to get the bead I wanted. But that's I don't know if it's an actual radar for I think it's more of a communication, but it could be a radar, surface radar, but I'm not sure, to be honest with you. There are, again, I'm just looking at photos and trying to interpret what I see, but there's about another 2 or 3 smaller half domes on poles of different communications devices. These are like tuning units, and there'll be antenna coming off those. Now these are the ship's boats. Ship's boat, yeah, well, they are ship's boats, aren't they, I suppose? Well, no, they'd be ship's boats. These are our lifeboats. These are like all self-contained. They've got engines, from what I can see, to drive them away from one. Obviously, if you're going to be dropping, if she's on fire, you are in trouble as a tanker. So you need all the protection you can get. But they probably could have been done like about that. Oh, you can't even see, can you? Sorry. Probably about a quarter off again. But they are big round tubby things. So the only thing I've done wrong, I'd already put my derricks in, and the rope from the derricks actually goes from the bow and to the stern, not as it seems there, because I will put some little lead wire or whatever, copper wire, to show some wire on there, so they're not just floating in midair. But it should go to the front. Again, that's just me. They are quite close to this platform, but it's probably not that close. But yeah, and I'll do the other side. It's not there's anything different there as such. There's slight differences in what's on the stock on the superstructure. Yeah, I've done some bits of lead wire, showing some ducting, piping. Again, it's roughly where it's supposed to be, but probably not in scale. And then we've got this section here, where these are 2 really large tuning units, and they do appear to be as large as I've done them, although they are straighter than that. But yeah, they would have, again, two big masts coming off for communications. I haven't, these should be recessed. I've used tin foil, and then I used a rivet wheel from, I've got one of these rivet, you know, you've got 3 or 4 rivet wheels to put rivets on model aeroplanes. Just one of the cheap trumpeter ones, I think it was. And I've just rolled it backwards and forwards to try and show some type of mesh. And it should be recessed. It's not. I did think of putting more white plastic over the top, and I just, oh, you know, it's getting a bit silly, that is. So, and there will be some, again, different ladders and that going up these things, but I'm not doing any PE work until once I'm happy with all of the, because I've got to do a load of work on the back here yet. There's some small bits got to come out here, and there's a load of Christmas tree lights for the helicopters coming in, and working lights. And as I've said to you guys before, there's actually a lift that takes dry, because she also carries dry stores, and there's a lift that goes from obviously wherever the dry store area is up and then onto the heli deck for, as I say, she's got no in modern times now, they actually have they can put inflatable emergency like hangers in or on, I believe, not on, but not necessarily on this old girl. So yeah, the deck's there just to, you know, drop off and lift off type and take off, and that's it really. Jobs I've got to do in this section, but before I do anything too delicate, which I really should have before I've done the boats really, although they are fairly solid, I've really got to cut off a section here, cut out a section. There's some pipes showing here, because obviously these funnels are only ever shrouds that shroud pipes, and I could do with cutting out, but I've got such amount of filler and stuff in there, I think it's going to look really messy. I'm not 100% sure what I'm going to do with that yet, but I need to be happy with the angle. See, it's flat there a bit, so I need to get that down slightly at the back. But then there's like 3 or 4 real funnels, if that makes sense, where the diesel fumes are coming out of. They've got to go up there. So that's got to be worked on. Once that's done, I've got to add a mast with yet more communications devices and sensor, you know, and forward positioning radars and all that stuff. And that goes up slightly higher than the funnel and slightly out. So that's got to be put on, although I'll only do the main mast and some of the more rugged stuff, any stuff that's, like I say, with all these antennas that are coming off these tuning units, I won't do until the very end, because they're just going to be smashed off. What I intend to do once I've done this particularly and any work around here, then I'm going to stick her on her base, which will be blue foam. I don't know if I'm going to put the waves around it yet, but I want to stuck down so I'm not holding the ship, because the more bits and pieces, the more fragile bits and pieces I put on, I'm just going to clatter them. I've already lost bits and pieces. I've lost a stanchion there, I've got to re-glue, and I need to sort these out. I'm still not happy with these strengthening panels here. They're not correct shape, but yeah, it's getting there. As I say, there's a bit of work. I'm still trying to, there's some type of ducting, I think, on this left hand side. It might mirror both sides, or it might just be on one side, but it's like from what I can see, it's like a neck, you know, like a ostrich neck type thing, but a thick one, and it goes somewhere around here, but I don't know where it goes to and where it goes down to, if that makes sense. So because at the moment this is quite open. I mean, there will be at least from here, there's going to be obviously safety railings all the way around, but not till the very end. So there is a few bits to go on here, but only small bits, but it's just deciding where they are and, you know, what shapes they are and things. So yeah, she's coming along. I was quite pleased with the progress of that. You know, she's starting to get more and more busy. But as I say, because there's a heck of a lot to go on here, and it's just too easy to hold this and then just, you know, flick them all off. So I'm going to have the big, you know, the derrick's going to be up there, you know, and there's going to be so much stuff that can be broken off. Again, all the safety railings around here aren't going to be touched until, as I would do on a model, you know, pre-bought model one. So I hope that's been of interest to anybody that's been watching the progress of the Royal Fleet Auxiliary Black Rover. As I say, she's no longer with us. I mean, I know everything's got a sell-by date, but it's a shame because they did good. They tried to, when the Conservatives got in years ago, with all the cuts that they were doing after the financial crash, they wanted to cull the entire small tanker fleet. We've got a couple of larger ones and majority of these smaller ones, and they got rid of all the sister ships bar her and Gold Rover. I think it was just her and Gold Rover that were left, and they were down for getting scrapped as well. And then they just suddenly, you know, it's as usual, you've got to have some fuel tankers, you know. You can't keep relying on allies and stuff to do it for you, no matter how old they are. So they kept them on in service. They gave them a quick refit to, you know, keep them going for another, I think it was another 4 or 5 years they sailed on. So yeah, hope that was enjoyable to some people. As I say, it shows how easy things to knock off. I've done some supporting, you know, welds there that for the different cables that come out, and one's broken off there already. Probably on the other side too. Yeah, I've lost the other side as well. So all stuff like that won't happen if you've got, you know, you should really have them once you've got, this should already be on a base really, whether it's a working base, scrap piece of wood, scrap piece of foam, or I just thought, well, I might as well stick her on the foam that she's going to be actually in the water with, and you can hold that, and even that will be probably stuck down on a block of wood, just to stop you knocking everything off every 5 minutes. So thank you very much. As I say, she's sailing on. As I've said before, I have no idea when it's going to finally be finished. Some weeks I can do more on her than others, because I have I've done a slight bit more on HMS Bristol and HMS Invincible. There's just nothing on the big Vince that's really worth showing you at the moment. I'm still working on 2 halves of the ship. We've put them together yet. The Bristol is looking really nice. She's also been already stuck on a piece of foam, but I don't want to do anything. You know, there's no point. I think I'm just going to show her when she's finished, and it'll be when it'll be. Won't be until the new year, but obviously now with time running out. But she, you know, finally get one done. But I've got a lot on. We've been hit by weather-related bills like ridge tiles and everything else that's cost us a fortune to get done. And I'm painting like mad at the moment to try and sell some figures off for the new year to help pay bills. So a lot of my stuff, I haven't touched the ferret in weeks, not because I haven't enjoyed it. It's just been I've really needed to be painting figures. So yeah, thank you very much, and I will see you on another video.